Do they still love me? Why haven't they replied? Did I say something wrong? What if they're losing interest? If these questions feel familiar, you are not alone. Millions of people experience relationships not as places of rest, but as places of constant vigilance. Love becomes something to monitor, something to protect, something that could disappear at any moment. From the outside, they may appear calm, they laugh, they smile, they build successful careers, they care deeply for others. Yet, beneath the surface, another life is unfolding. A life filled with quiet anticipation, waiting for reassurance, waiting for certainty, waiting for proof that they are still loved. Modern psychology often calls this anxious attachment, but Buddhist psychology invites us to look even deeper, not simply at attachment as a personality style, but at the subtle habits of the mind that create suffering. Because the Buddha did not ask, "What kind of person are you?" He asked, "What is the mind doing right now?" This question changes everything. Instead of labeling ourselves, "I'm anxious," "I'm insecure," "I'm broken," we begin observing something much more liberating. The mind is experiencing anxiety. The mind is searching. The mind is clinging. Notice the difference. One describes an identity. The other describes a process. And processes can change. This is one of the most hopeful insights in all of Buddhist psychology. You are not your patterns. You are not your fear. You are not even your attachment. These experiences arise. They remain for a while, then they pass away. Yet, when we do not see this clearly, we begin building an identity around them. This is just who I am. The Buddha gently challenged this assumption over 25 centuries ago. He observed that everything we experience is in constant motion. Thoughts arise, feelings arise, sensations arise, memories arise, then each one fades. Like waves appearing upon the surface of the ocean, the waves are real, but they are not the ocean itself. In the same way, anxious attachment is real, the fear is real, the racing heart is real, the endless overthinking is real, but they are not the deepest truth about who you are. Still, when these experiences repeat often enough, they begin to feel permanent. Imagine walking through a forest every day using the same narrow path. After months, the grass disappears, the soil becomes hard. Eventually, the path feels like the only possible way forward. Our minds develop in much the same way. Every time uncertainty appears, the mind walks the same familiar path. Something must be wrong. Every delayed reply, they're pulling away. Every small change in tone, they're about to leave. Eventually, these reactions become automatic, not because they are true, but because they are familiar. The Buddha described habits of mind as conditions that reinforce one another. One thought gives rise to another. One fear strengthens the next, until an entire world is built from repeated mental patterns. The remarkable thing is that most of this happens beneath conscious awareness. By the time we notice our anxiety, the story has already begun. Consider a simple example. Your partner usually replies within 10 minutes. Today, 2 hours pass without a message. Nothing has actually happened. No argument, no rejection, no evidence, only silence. Yet the mind refuses to experience silence as silence. Instead, it fills the empty space. Maybe they're upset. Maybe they're talking to someone else. Maybe they're realizing I'm too much. Within moments, your body begins responding as though these imagined events were real. Your heart beats faster, your stomach tightens, your attention narrows. You check your phone again and again. You reread the last conversation, searching for clues. Did you sound needy, too distant, too emotional? Perhaps you begin drafting a message, then deleting it, then writing another. Not because you truly know something is wrong, but because the mind cannot tolerate uncertainty. This is where Buddhist psychology offers a profound insight. The greatest source of suffering is often not uncertainty itself. It is the mind's resistance to uncertainty. The Buddha taught that the human mind craves certainty because certainty creates the illusion of control. If I know what will happen, I can finally relax. If I know they still love me, I can finally breathe. If I know they won't leave, I can finally feel safe. But life has never offered such guarantees. Everything changes. People change. Emotions change. Circumstances change. Even our own thoughts change from moment to moment. To demand certainty from an uncertain world is to place the heart in constant conflict with reality. This conflict is exhausting. Many people with anxious attachment believe they are exhausted because they love too deeply. Often, the deeper truth is different. They are exhausted because they are trying to predict what cannot be predicted. They are trying to secure what cannot be permanently secured. Imagine standing at the edge of the ocean, trying to stop the tides with your hands. No matter how hard you push, the waves continue arriving. Not because you are weak, but because the ocean follows its own nature. Relationships are much the same. No amount of worrying can guarantee permanence. No amount of overthinking can eliminate uncertainty. And yet the anxious mind keeps trying. Why? Because somewhere beneath the thoughts lives a powerful belief. If I stay alert enough, I won't get hurt. This belief rarely appears consciously. Instead, it disguises itself as responsibility, as caring, as loyalty, as love. But beneath each of these is often something quieter: fear. Not fear of being alone, but fear of being abandoned. There is an important difference. Loneliness says, I miss connection. Fear of abandonment says, without connection, I lose myself. This distinction may be one of the most important in understanding anxious attachment. Because what the anxious mind truly seeks is not simply another person, it seeks safety. It believes that safety exists somewhere outside itself. Inside another person's consistency. Inside another person's reassurance. Inside another person's promise never to leave. For a brief moment, reassurance works. A loving message arrives, the nervous system relaxes, the breathing slows, the body softens. Everything feels peaceful again, but notice how long that peace lasts. An hour, a day, perhaps only a few minutes. Soon, another uncertainty appears, and the entire cycle begins again. The Buddha would recognize this pattern immediately. Not because relationships are the problem, but because craving has quietly entered the relationship. The craving is not merely for love. It is for permanent emotional certainty, and that is something no human being can provide. Not because they do not love us, but because they too are changing from moment to moment. This realization can feel frightening at first. If another person cannot guarantee our safety, then where does genuine security come from? That question marks the beginning of a very different journey. A journey away from chasing reassurance, and toward understanding the mind that keeps searching for it. For beneath the fear of abandonment lies an even deeper mechanism, one so subtle that most of us mistake it for love itself. And until we see that mechanism clearly, we will continue waiting for another person to calm a storm that was never created by them in the first place. Why the mind keeps searching for reassurance. At this point, we arrive at a question that changes the entire direction of the conversation. If reassurance never lasts, why do we keep chasing it? Why does one loving message calm us for an hour, only for anxiety to quietly return? Why does the mind seem unable to hold on to the feeling of being loved? Buddhist psychology would suggest that the problem is not the reassurance itself. The problem is what the mind expects reassurance to accomplish. It expects reassurance to eliminate fear, permanently. But fear that arises from within cannot be permanently silenced by something that comes from outside. Imagine trying to warm yourself by standing in the morning sunlight. It feels wonderful. The warmth is real. But when the sun disappears behind the clouds, the warmth fades. If you depended entirely upon the sun for your warmth, every passing cloud would become a source of anxiety. You would spend your day watching the sky instead of living your life. Many anxious relationships unfold in exactly this way. The partner becomes the sun. Their attention becomes warmth. Their silence becomes winter. Without realizing it, we begin organizing our emotional life around another person's availability. A good morning text determines whether the day begins peacefully. A delayed response changes our mood. A small shift in their tone becomes enough to unsettle our entire nervous system. Notice what has happened. Our emotional center has quietly moved outside ourselves. Instead of resting within awareness, it now rests inside another person's behavior. The Buddha observed that wherever the mind places its dependence, suffering eventually follows. Not because dependence is morally wrong, but because everything we depend upon is subject to change. This is the nature of impermanence. The Buddha called it anicca. Nothing remains exactly as it is, not emotions, not relationships, not bodies, not thoughts, not even the fear we are experiencing right now. Everything moves, everything unfolds, everything changes. Yet the anxious mind continuously resists this truth. It whispers, "Just make this feeling stay. Just promise me nothing will change. Just tell me you'll always be here." These wishes are deeply human. There is no shame in them. Every heart longs for stability. Every child longs to know they are safe. Every person hopes to be loved. The Buddha never criticized these longings. He simply observed what happens when we demand permanence from an impermanent world. Sooner or later, reality refuses our demand. People become busy, someone forgets to call. A misunderstanding arises. Life interrupts our carefully imagined certainty, and because our peace depended upon that certainty, our peace disappears with it. This is one reason anxious attachment feels so exhausting. The mind is not merely loving another person. It is constantly negotiating with impermanence, trying to make changing circumstances behave as though they were fixed, trying to freeze flowing water, trying to hold the wind in closed hands. The tighter we grasp, the more quickly everything slips away. This is the paradox the Buddha saw so clearly. Clinging is born from the desire to preserve happiness, yet clinging often becomes the very force that destroys it. Think about holding sand in your hand. If your palm remains relaxed, much of the sand stays, but if you squeeze with all your strength, it escapes between your fingers. Relationships often follow the same principle. The more desperately we seek constant reassurance, the more pressure the relationship begins to carry. Our partner slowly feels responsible for emotions they cannot permanently regulate. At first, they gladly reassure us, "I love you. I'm not leaving. Everything is okay." Their words bring relief. But because relief is temporary, reassurance must be repeated. Again, and again, and again. Eventually, reassurance becomes a responsibility instead of a gift. The relationship slowly changes. One person is constantly seeking certainty, the other is constantly trying to provide it. Neither feels completely at peace. This is not because either person is wrong. It is because both are trying to solve an internal problem through external means. The Buddha often compared craving to drinking salt water. For a brief moment, it seems to satisfy thirst. Yet the more we drink, the thirst grows stronger. Reassurance can function in much the same way. Receiving it feels wonderful. But when reassurance becomes the primary source of emotional stability, its absence becomes increasingly painful. This is why anxious attachment often creates a strange contradiction. The more reassurance we receive, the more reassurance we believe we need. Not because love has failed, but because the mind has quietly become dependent upon the feeling of being reassured. Dependence always fears interruption. Now, consider another possibility. Imagine someone who also values love deeply. They appreciate affection. They enjoy closeness. They feel sadness when relationships end. Yet their peace does not disappear every time uncertainty appears. What is different? According to Buddhist psychology, it is not that they experience less uncertainty. It is that they relate differently to uncertainty. Instead of immediately resisting it, they make space for it. Instead of demanding certainty, they observe the discomfort that uncertainty creates. This observation is incredibly important because it reveals where suffering is actually happening. Most people believe their suffering begins when another person becomes distant. The Buddha might gently ask, or does suffering begin at the moment the mind refuses to accept uncertainty? This question does not blame us. It empowers us, because if suffering depends entirely upon another person's behavior, we remain powerless. But if suffering also depends upon how the mind responds, then transformation becomes possible. This is why Buddhist psychology always returns to awareness. Awareness is the place where freedom quietly begins. Imagine hearing thunder in the distance. Without awareness, the mind immediately creates a story. A storm is coming. This day is ruined. I should have stayed home. With awareness, something different happens. You simply hear thunder. You notice your thoughts. You notice your emotions. You notice your body's reaction. But you are no longer completely carried away by them. Relationships work in exactly the same way. A delayed message becomes an event. The anxious mind turns it into a catastrophe. Awareness gently separates the two. There is the event, and there is the story. The event is real. The story is optional. This insight can feel almost unbelievable at first. After all, our stories feel so convincing. When anxiety appears, the imagined future often feels more real than the present moment. The Buddha understood this tendency long before modern neuroscience. He observed that the untamed mind constantly wanders. It lives in memories. It lives in fantasies. It lives in imagined futures. Rarely does it rest completely in what is happening now. Anxious attachment magnifies this habit. Instead of experiencing today's relationship, the mind keeps trying to predict tomorrow's ending. Instead of listening to the conversation taking place, it secretly searches for signs of abandonment. Instead of receiving love, it measures the possibility of losing it. And in doing so, it often misses the love that is already present. This does not mean every relationship is healthy. Some people truly are emotionally unavailable. Some relationships genuinely require healthy boundaries or courageous endings. The Buddha never encouraged blind attachment to unhealthy situations. Wisdom requires discernment. But discernment is different from fear. Fear imagines. Wisdom observes. Fear rushes. Wisdom waits. Fear reacts. Wisdom responds. As we begin seeing this distinction, another realization slowly emerges. Perhaps anxious attachment is not simply a problem to eliminate. Perhaps it is an invitation. An invitation to discover where we have been asking another human being to provide what only inner awareness can truly stabilize. Because beneath every request for reassurance, there is a quieter longing. A longing not merely to be loved, but to finally feel safe within ourselves. And until that deeper longing is understood, no amount of reassurance, no matter how sincere, will ever feel like enough. The good news is that this pattern is not permanent. The Buddha never taught that the mind is fixed. He taught that whatever has been conditioned can also be transformed. And transformation begins the moment we stop asking, "How do I make someone stay?" and begin asking, "What is this fear trying to teach me about my own mind?" That question opens the door to the next stage of the journey. Because before we can learn how to heal anxious attachment, we must first understand the powerful illusion that keeps it alive, the belief that another person's presence can finally make us feel complete. Why we believe someone else can calm our inner storm. There comes a moment in nearly every anxious relationship when a quiet belief reveals itself. It rarely appears in words. Instead, it hides beneath our actions. We check our phone one more time. We replay yesterday's conversation. We search someone's face for signs that everything is still okay. Beneath all of these behaviors lives a single hope. If they reassure me, I'll finally feel safe. Notice that word, safe. Not simply loved, not simply appreciated, safe. This is one of the most important distinctions in Buddhist psychology. Many people believe they are searching for love. Often, they are searching for emotional safety. And because the two become intertwined, they begin expecting another human being to provide both. For a few moments, it seems to work. A warm message arrives. "I've been thinking about you." The body softens. The chest relaxes. The mind becomes quiet. The storm disappears. It feels as though the other person has healed something inside us. But then, a day later, perhaps only a few hours later, the anxiety quietly returns. Nothing dramatic has happened. No argument, no rejection, no betrayal. Only the ordinary uncertainty that exists in every relationship. Yet the mind begins searching again. Do they still feel the same? Should I send another message? Why haven't they called? The cycle repeats. This raises a profound question. If reassurance truly created lasting security, why must it be repeated over and over again? The Buddha would gently invite us to examine this experience for ourselves, not as a theory, but as direct observation. Close your eyes for a moment and remember a time when someone you loved reassured you. Perhaps they said, "I'm not going anywhere." How long did that feeling last? An afternoon, a weekend, a week? Eventually, the old uncertainty returned. Not because the reassurance was false, but because reassurance cannot permanently quiet a mind that has learned to fear uncertainty. This is where Buddhist psychology diverges from the common understanding of relationships. Modern culture often tells us, "You just haven't found the right person." The Buddha asks a different question. What if the deeper problem is not who you found, but what your mind expects another person to provide? This question is not meant to diminish the importance of healthy relationships. Supportive partners matter. Kindness matters. Emotional availability matters. But even the healthiest partner cannot remove the fundamental uncertainty of life. No one can promise they will never change. No one can promise illness will never come. No one can promise circumstances will remain exactly as they are today. Everything that exists is subject to change. This is the law of anicca, impermanence. The Buddha did not teach impermanence to make us pessimistic. He taught it because resisting reality is exhausting. Imagine building a house beside the ocean while insisting the tide must never rise. Every wave feels like an enemy. Every storm feels unfair, yet the ocean has done nothing wrong. It is simply following its nature. Likewise, relationships naturally move through closeness and distance, busy seasons, quiet seasons, moments of misunderstanding, moments of extraordinary connection. The anxious mind, however, interprets every natural fluctuation as danger, not because danger is truly present, but because uncertainty itself feels unsafe. This is where the psychological mechanism becomes remarkably clear. The nervous system begins treating uncertainty as though it were abandonment. A delayed response feels emotionally similar to rejection. A change in routine feels emotionally similar to loss. The body reacts before reason has time to speak. The heart races. The stomach tightens. Sleep becomes difficult. Attention narrows toward one goal: restore certainty, restore safety, restore connection. The mind becomes convinced that if the relationship can simply return to yesterday's closeness, everything will be fine again. But notice what has quietly happened. Peace has become conditional. It depends entirely upon another person's emotional availability. As long as they remain close, we feel secure. When they become distant, our inner world begins collapsing. The Buddha recognized this pattern long before the language of attachment theory existed. He called it upādāna, clinging. Clinging is not the same as love. Clinging is what happens when the mind says, "I cannot be okay unless this remains exactly as I want it." Love appreciates. Clinging depends. Love allows. Clinging controls. Love is spacious. Clinging is afraid. This fear is often invisible because it disguises itself as devotion. I just care deeply. I just miss them. I just want us to be close. These feelings may all be sincere, but underneath them, there may also be another voice quietly whispering, "Without them, I don't know how to feel okay." This voice deserves compassion, not judgment, because it did not appear overnight. Every anxious pattern has a history. The mind learned, somewhere along the way, that closeness equals safety, distance equals danger. Whether those lessons came from childhood, previous relationships, or repeated disappointments, the mind eventually accepted them as truth. The Buddha never criticized conditioning. He simply encouraged us to see it clearly, because what is seen clearly can begin to loosen. Imagine wearing tinted glasses for many years. Eventually, you forget you are wearing them. The world simply appears to have that color. Only when the glasses are removed do you realize reality was never exactly as it seemed. Anxious attachment functions in much the same way. It colors every interaction. A neutral expression becomes disapproval. A postponed dinner becomes rejection. Silence becomes evidence that love is disappearing. The relationship itself may not have changed very much. The lens through which we are viewing it has. Mindfulness begins removing that lens. Slowly, patiently. Not by convincing ourselves that everything is fine, but by asking, what am I actually experiencing right now? Not tomorrow, not yesterday, now. Perhaps what is actually present is simply uncertainty, not abandonment, not rejection, just uncertainty. The difference is enormous, because uncertainty is uncomfortable. But it is not the same as danger. The anxious mind rarely notices this distinction. Instead, it immediately begins solving a problem that may not even exist. It sends another message, looks for reassurance, seeks another promise. For a moment, the promise works, then the mind asks for another, and another. This is why reassurance alone cannot heal anxious attachment. It soothes the symptom, but not the source. The source is the belief that emotional safety can be permanently borrowed from another person. The Buddha invites us to investigate that belief with extraordinary honesty. Can another person's love be deeply healing? Yes. Can it comfort us? Absolutely. Can it accompany us through suffering? Without question. But can it permanently remove fear from a mind that has not yet understood itself? No. That work belongs to awareness, and awareness cannot be given to us by someone else. It must be cultivated from within. This realization may feel disappointing at first. Many of us secretly hope that one perfect relationship will finally silence every insecurity. Yet the Buddha offers something even more hopeful. He suggests that the peace we seek was never hidden inside another person's heart. It was obscured by the restless movements of our own mind. When those movements begin settling, something extraordinary becomes possible. For the first time, we stop asking another person to rescue us from uncertainty. Instead, we begin learning how to remain present with uncertainty itself. That is the beginning of genuine emotional freedom. But one powerful illusion still remains. Even after we understand that another person cannot permanently make us feel safe, the mind continues searching for something else. Validation. Because beneath the desire for safety lies an even quieter longing. The longing to believe that if someone truly chooses us, we will finally believe we are enough. Why being chosen never feels like enough. If the previous section exposed a major illusion, that another person could provide us with a lasting sense of security, then there remains yet another illusion, one that is even more subtle. It is the belief that if someone chooses us, we will finally feel worthy. At first, this belief seems almost invisible. We don't usually say, "I need someone to validate my existence." Instead, it appears in quieter ways. We wait a little too eagerly for their reply. We feel unusually relieved when they say, "I miss you." We become unsettled when their attention shifts elsewhere. And without realizing it, we begin measuring our value through another person's affection. This is one of the most powerful mechanisms behind anxious attachment. The relationship quietly stops being a relationship. It becomes a mirror. Every smile reflects our worth. Every silence reflects our fear. Every act of closeness becomes evidence that we matter. Every moment of distance becomes evidence that perhaps we never did. The Buddha observed that the ordinary mind is constantly constructing a sense of self. Not because there truly is a fixed, permanent self hidden somewhere inside us, but because the mind continuously gathers experiences and turns them into an identity. Someone praises us. I must be valuable. Someone criticizes us. I must be failing. Someone stays. I am lovable. Someone leaves. I am unworthy. Notice how quickly external events become internal conclusions. The event lasts only a moment, but the identity created from that event may remain for years. This is where anxious attachment becomes especially painful. The ego quietly believes, if I can just become important enough to one person, maybe I'll finally believe I'm enough. It is a heartbreaking hope, because it asks another human being to answer a question they were never meant to answer. Who are you? What are you worth? Are you complete? No relationship can permanently answer these questions, because they were never relationship questions. They were questions of identity. The Buddha pointed directly toward this misunderstanding through the teaching of anatta, the absence of a fixed, permanent self. Many people hear this teaching and think it sounds abstract. Yet its relevance to relationships is astonishingly practical. Consider what happens after a breakup. The pain is real. The grief is real. But listen carefully to the thoughts that often follow. I wasn't enough. No one will ever choose me. I always ruin relationships. Notice what the mind is doing. A changing event has become a permanent identity. One relationship becomes an entire definition of the self. The Buddha gently questioned this habit. Can a single experience define an entire life? Can another person's opinion reveal your true nature? Can changing circumstances determine something that is constantly changing itself? His answer was clear. No, because what we call self is not a solid object. It is an ever-changing process of thoughts, feelings, perceptions, habits, and experiences. Yet the ego longs for certainty. It wants a stable story, a simple conclusion. I am lovable. I am unlovable. Either answer feels easier than uncertainty. And so, the ego spends much of its life collecting evidence to support whichever story it already believes. This explains something many people find confusing. Why can two people receive exactly the same amount of love, yet experience it completely differently? One person hears, "I love you," and simply smiles. Another hears the same words and immediately wonders, do they really mean it? Will they still feel this way tomorrow? What if they change their mind? The words are identical. The inner world is not. Because anxious attachment is not primarily a problem of receiving love. It is a problem of trusting it. More precisely, it is a problem of trusting ourselves without constantly borrowing certainty from someone else. Imagine carrying a beautiful bowl with a tiny crack in the bottom. Every drop of water poured into it slowly leaks away. You keep adding more, not because the water is bad, but because the container cannot hold it. Validation often works like this. A compliment enters. For a moment you feel wonderful. Someone expresses affection. Peace arises. Someone says, "You're important to me." The heart softens, but gradually, the feeling fades. Soon, another reassurance becomes necessary. The mind concludes, I need more love. Yet perhaps what is really needed is not more love. Perhaps it is a different relationship with the mind that keeps losing sight of the love already present. The Buddha often described craving as a fire. Most people try to extinguish the fire by feeding it. They assume, if I receive enough reassurance, enough success, enough affection, the fire will finally go out. Instead, Each new piece of fuel allows it to burn a little longer. Validation works the same way. The more we depend upon it, the more fragile we become when it disappears. This does not mean reassurance is wrong. Healthy relationships naturally include encouragement, affection, and emotional support. The Buddha never suggested that human beings should become emotionally distant. He spoke often about noble friendship, compassion, and genuine care. The problem begins only when support becomes dependence, when appreciation becomes addiction, when being chosen becomes the foundation of our identity. At that point, the relationship quietly shifts. Instead of sharing life with another person, we begin negotiating for our own worth. Every disagreement feels threatening. Every misunderstanding feels catastrophic. Not because the relationship itself is ending, but because the ego believes its identity is under attack. This is why anxious attachment often produces an exhausting cycle of overthinking. The mind becomes a detective. It studies facial expressions. It analyzes punctuation in text messages. It replays conversations late into the night. Searching. Searching for what? Not simply signs of love, signs of certainty. Signs that the story, I matter, is still true. Yet certainty obtained this way never lasts, because tomorrow brings another uncertainty, another unanswered message, another busy afternoon, another ordinary moment that the anxious mind quietly transforms into a threat. The Buddha understood that the ego survives by constantly asking one question: what does this mean about me? Awareness asks a very different question: what is happening right now? The difference may appear small. In reality, it changes everything. Imagine your partner arrives home unusually quiet. The ego immediately begins interpreting. They're disappointed in me. I've done something wrong. They're pulling away. Awareness simply notices. They seem quiet today. Nothing more. No immediate story, no identity, no conclusion. This is the beginning of wisdom, because wisdom allows reality to unfold before judgment rushes in. The anxious mind rarely grants reality that opportunity. It fills every silence with explanation, every delay with fear, every uncertainty with prediction. Mindfulness gradually interrupts this habit. Instead of asking, "What if they stop loving me?" we begin noticing fear has appeared. Instead of believing, "I am being abandoned," we notice the mind is imagining abandonment. This shift is subtle, but it is one of the greatest turning points in Buddhist practice, because awareness creates space, and within that space, choice becomes possible. Without awareness, every fear becomes a command. With awareness, fear becomes an experience, not an identity, not a prophecy, simply an experience moving through consciousness. The Buddha repeatedly invited his students to investigate their experience in exactly this way, not to suppress fear, not to pretend confidence, but to observe every mental state with extraordinary honesty. When observed carefully, even anxiety begins revealing its nature. It rises, it peaks, it changes, it fades, like every other phenomenon. Nothing remains forever. Not excitement, not sadness, not reassurance, not fear. Everything flows, everything transforms. The ego desperately resists this truth because it longs for permanence. Awareness gently relaxes into it. This is where anxious attachment begins dissolving. Not because someone finally loves us perfectly, but because we gradually stop asking another human being to carry the impossible burden of proving our worth. And when that burden disappears, relationships begin feeling astonishingly different. Conversations become lighter. Silence becomes less threatening. Distance no longer automatically means rejection. Love becomes something to experience, rather than something to constantly measure. For perhaps the deepest healing is not finding someone who never triggers our fear. It is discovering a mind that no longer builds its identity upon fear in the first place. Yet understanding this truth is only the beginning. Insight alone does not dissolve deeply conditioned habits. The Buddha always emphasized that wisdom must be lived, not merely understood. And that brings us to the final stage of this journey. If awareness can reveal the pattern, how do we actually transform it? How do we stop reaching for reassurance every time fear appears? How do we cultivate a heart that remains open without becoming dependent? The answer lies in one of the Buddha's most practical and compassionate teachings: the path of mindfulness, non-clinging, and inner freedom. Breaking the cycle: how mindfulness dissolves the fear of abandonment. We have spent this journey uncovering a difficult truth. Anxious attachment is not simply about loving someone too much, nor is it caused solely by choosing the wrong partner. Its deepest roots lie somewhere else. The mind has quietly learned to believe that its safety depends upon something outside itself. As long as another person stays close, everything feels manageable. But the moment uncertainty appears, the entire inner world begins to shake. This is the cycle the Buddha described more than 25 centuries ago, not as a flaw in human nature, but as the natural consequence of taṇhā, craving. Craving is often translated simply as desire, but in Buddhist psychology it points to something more subtle. It is the restless movement of the mind that continually says, "This moment is not enough. I need something more before I can be at peace." Sometimes that something is success. Sometimes it is recognition. Sometimes it is certainty, and for the anxious heart, it is often reassurance. One more message, one more promise, one more sign that nothing has changed. At first glance, these desires appear harmless. Who wouldn't want reassurance from someone they love? The Buddha never suggested that affection is wrong. The problem begins when reassurance changes from a gift into a necessity. The moment peace becomes dependent upon another person's behavior, craving has quietly become clinging. This is upādāna. Clinging is not simply holding on. It is the belief that without this person, without this relationship, without this certainty, I cannot be okay. Notice how different that is from love. Love says, "I treasure your presence." Clinging whispers, "I cannot survive your absence." One expands the heart, the other imprisons it. Most people try to escape this prison by strengthening the relationship. The Buddha invited us to do something radically different. Strengthen awareness instead, because awareness is the one place craving cannot hide. Imagine entering a dark room with a candle. You do not fight the darkness. You do not argue with it. You simply bring light. The darkness disappears naturally. Mindfulness works in exactly the same way. Its purpose is not to destroy anxious thoughts. Its purpose is to illuminate them. Or perhaps the greatest mistake we make is believing every thought deserves our trust. Imagine this familiar moment. Your partner usually texts before going to bed. Tonight, nothing arrives. Within seconds, the mind begins moving. Something is wrong. They're upset. They're pulling away. I'm about to lose them. Notice what happens next. The body believes the story. Your breathing changes. Your chest tightens. Sleep becomes difficult. You feel compelled to do something. Send another message, check social media, replay yesterday's conversation, search for evidence. This entire chain may unfold in less than 2 minutes. The Buddha called this the conditioned nature of the mind. One thought gives rise to another. One feeling strengthens the next, until suffering appears to have a life of its own. Mindfulness interrupts this process at its very beginning. Instead of immediately asking, "Why are they doing this?" awareness asks, "What is happening inside my mind right now?" That question is extraordinarily powerful, because it shifts attention away from controlling another person, toward understanding ourselves. Perhaps what is present is fear. Perhaps it is loneliness. Perhaps it is uncertainty. Whatever it is, mindfulness simply notices, not with judgment, not with resistance, only with clear observation. Many people think mindfulness means relaxing or emptying the mind. The Buddha described something much deeper. Mindfulness is remembering to remain awake while the mind is creating its stories. Imagine sitting beside a river. Leaves drift past on the surface. Some are beautiful, some are damaged, some move quickly, others slowly disappear downstream. Would you jump into the river every time a leaf floated past? Of course not. You simply watch. Thoughts behave exactly the same way. A fearful thought appears, then another, then another. Mindfulness does not ask us to stop the river. It teaches us to stop jumping into it. For the first time, we begin recognizing something astonishing. There is a difference between having a thought and becoming the thought. Without mindfulness, the mind says, "I'm being abandoned." With mindfulness, awareness quietly notices, there is fear of abandonment arising. Those two experiences are not the same. One creates identity, the other creates space. Within that space, freedom begins. This is why the Buddha emphasized direct observation again and again. Not because observation immediately removes pain, but because it prevents pain from becoming identity. Suppose jealousy appears. Without awareness, jealousy immediately becomes action. Questioning, checking, accusing, seeking reassurance. With awareness, jealousy still arises, but now something entirely new happens. You recognize it, you breathe with it, you allow it to exist without instantly obeying it. This is not suppression, it is wisdom. The Buddha compared an untrained mind to a wild elephant. A wild elephant is powerful, but without training, its strength causes destruction. The trained elephant possesses the same strength, yet it moves with calmness and purpose. Our minds are no different. An anxious mind is not weak. In fact, it is incredibly powerful. Its imagination is vivid, its sensitivity is profound. Its capacity to notice subtle changes is remarkable. The problem is not the power itself. The problem is that the power has never learned where to rest. Mindfulness becomes that place of rest, not by forcing the mind into silence, but by giving it something stable to return to. The breath, the body, the present moment. Again and again and again. Each return weakens the habit of unconscious reaction. This is why Buddhist practice is called a path. Not because awakening happens in one dramatic moment, but because freedom grows through countless ordinary moments of remembering. Remembering to pause before reacting. Remembering to breathe before assuming. Remembering to observe before believing. These moments may appear small, yet they slowly reshape the entire architecture of the mind. Eventually, something remarkable begins happening. The same delayed text that once destroyed an entire evening still creates discomfort, but not panic. The same silence still feels uncertain, but no longer unbearable. Why? Because awareness has become stronger than habit. The fear still knocks at the door. It simply no longer controls the entire house. At this stage, another essential Buddhist insight begins revealing itself. Anicca, impermanence. Most people understand impermanence intellectually. Everything changes, everyone knows this. But very few people truly live as though they understand it. The anxious mind constantly tries to freeze reality. Please never change. Please always feel the same. Please promise me forever. Yet the Buddha asks us to look honestly. Has any emotion ever remained forever? Has any season? Has any relationship? Has even one breath remained unchanged? Everything moves, everything flows, even anxiety itself. This realization is profoundly liberating. Because if anxiety is impermanent, it does not need to be feared. If fear changes, we do not need to organize our lives around escaping it. Instead, we can watch it arrive. Watch it stay, watch it dissolve. Just as we watch waves arrive upon the shore. The wave never asks permission before appearing. Neither does fear, but neither remains forever. When this understanding deepens, something inside us softens. We stop demanding that every uncomfortable feeling disappear immediately. We stop believing every emotional storm requires immediate action. Instead, we discover something the Buddha described again and again: Awareness itself is already peaceful. The thoughts passing through awareness are restless. Awareness is not. Like the open sky behind moving clouds, it remains untouched. This insight prepares us for the final transformation. For mindfulness alone is not the destination, it is the doorway. Once we begin seeing craving clearly, once we begin trusting the changing nature of every experience, the heart naturally becomes ready for something even more beautiful. Not merely freedom from fear, but freedom to love, without bargaining, without possession, without constantly asking for reassurance. The Buddha called this the ending of clinging, not because love disappears, but because love no longer needs chains to survive. And it is within that spacious, liberated heart that we discover the deepest forms of human connection: Mettā, unconditional loving kindness; Karuṇā, boundless compassion; and the quiet joy of loving someone without needing them to carry the weight of our identity. That is where our journey now leads. Loving without fear, Mettā, Karuṇā, and the freedom of a heart that no longer clings. If mindfulness is the beginning of freedom, it is not the end of the journey. A quiet misunderstanding often appears at this stage. Many people hear the Buddha's teaching on non-attachment and conclude, perhaps I shouldn't love so deeply. Perhaps I should stop caring. Maybe the safest heart is the one that never needs anyone. But this is not what the Buddha taught. The Buddha never praised emotional distance. He never encouraged coldness. He never suggested that awakening requires withdrawing from human love. Instead, he pointed towards something far more beautiful. He showed us that there is a profound difference between closing the heart and freeing the heart. One avoids suffering by avoiding intimacy. The other embraces intimacy without becoming imprisoned by it. The first is fear. The second is wisdom. This distinction changes everything, because anxious attachment often swings between two extremes. When love feels safe, we cling. When love becomes painful, we withdraw. One moment we desperately seek closeness. The next, we tell ourselves we no longer need anyone. Neither extreme brings lasting peace. Both are reactions driven by fear. The Buddha invited us to discover a third way, not attachment, not avoidance, but presence. To understand this, imagine holding a small bird in your hands. If you grip too tightly, you harm it. If you refuse to hold it at all, it flies away before you ever know its beauty. Only open, gentle hands allow the bird to rest freely. Relationships are much the same. Love flourishes in open hands. It struggles inside closed fists. This is where Mettā, loving kindness, begins. The word Mettā is often translated simply as loving kindness. Yet it is more than kindness. It is the sincere wish that all beings be happy. Not because they satisfy our needs, not because they belong to us, but because their happiness matters. This is radically different from the anxious mind. The anxious mind quietly asks, how can this relationship make me feel secure? Mettā asks, may this person be peaceful? Notice how the center shifts. The anxious mind begins with itself, its fears, its uncertainty, its longing. Mettā begins with the recognition that every person is carrying invisible burdens. The partner we fear losing also knows fear. The person who struggles to express affection also experiences suffering. Even those who seem emotionally distant often carry wounds we cannot see. This does not excuse harmful behavior, nor does Buddhism ask us to remain in unhealthy relationships. Compassion is not permission for abuse. Wisdom always includes healthy boundaries, but boundaries built from wisdom feel different from walls built from fear. Fear says, I'll never trust anyone again. Wisdom says, I can love you while also protecting my peace. Fear closes the heart. Wisdom keeps it open without surrendering discernment. This balance is extraordinarily rare, and yet it is exactly what the Buddha cultivated. He met every person with compassion, but he never lost himself within another person's emotions. Why? Because compassion is not emotional fusion. It is clear seeing. The Buddha understood that every human being acts according to causes and conditions. Some people learn to trust. Others learn to fear. Some learned to express love openly. Others learn to hide behind distance. When we see this deeply, blame begins softening. Not because harmful actions become acceptable, but because we recognize that suffering often creates more suffering. A frightened person often frightens others. An abandoned heart often struggles to remain emotionally available. Someone who never experienced safety may unintentionally make others feel unsafe. Understanding this does not require us to stay. It simply frees us from hatred. Hatred keeps us tied to the very suffering we hope to escape. Compassion quietly unties the knot. This brings us to Karuṇā, compassion. Unlike pity, compassion does not look down upon suffering. It sits beside it. Imagine comforting a frightened child. You would not shout, "Stop being afraid." You would kneel, speak softly, offer patience. Perhaps the greatest surprise in Buddhist practice is this: the frightened child is often our own mind. For years, many of us have treated our anxious thoughts as enemies. We criticize ourselves. Why am I so needy? Why can't I just relax? Why do I always ruin relationships? These questions deepen suffering. The Buddha offered another possibility. Meet your fear with the same kindness you would offer a child. When anxiety appears, instead of saying, "Go away," try saying, "I see you. You are trying to protect me. Thank you. You may rest now." This is compassion directed inward. It is not indulgence, it is understanding. Because fear was never trying to destroy you. It was trying to protect you using methods it learned long ago. Unfortunately, those methods no longer bring peace. They only create exhaustion. Healing begins when awareness replaces struggle. The anxious mind has spent years fighting uncertainty. Compassion gently allows uncertainty to exist without becoming an enemy. This changes the entire relationship with experience. Instead of asking, "How do I stop feeling anxious?" we begin asking, "How can I remain loving while anxiety is present?" The answer is surprisingly simple. One breath, one moment of awareness, one act of kindness toward ourselves, then another, and another. Slowly, the nervous system learns something entirely new. Safety is no longer borrowed, it is cultivated. Not through another person's constant reassurance, but through repeated moments of presence. One day, perhaps without realizing when it happened, you notice something remarkable. A message arrives later than expected. Your mind begins its familiar story, then it pauses. You smile gently, you breathe. The story passes. Nothing needed to be fixed. Nothing needed to be chased. For the first time, uncertainty visits without becoming suffering. This is not emotional numbness. It is emotional freedom. There is an old Zen saying, "Let go or be dragged." Many people misunderstand this. They imagine letting go means losing what they love. But look at a tree in autumn. Does the tree cling to every leaf? No. It allows each leaf to fall when its season has ended. And because it lets go, spring always finds it ready to bloom again. The tree loses nothing by trusting the seasons. Human beings suffer because we demand that autumn remain summer. The Buddha asks us to trust the seasons of life. Some people arrive, some leave, some remain for many years. Some stay only long enough to teach us a single lesson. Every meeting carries meaning. Every ending carries wisdom. When we stop demanding permanence, we begin appreciating presence. This may be the greatest transformation of all. Love changes from possession into gratitude. Instead of asking, "How can I make this last forever?" we quietly begin asking, "How can I love fully while this moment is here?" That question contains extraordinary freedom, because now love no longer depends upon certainty. It depends upon presence, and presence is always available. Whether someone stays or leaves, whether life unfolds according to our plans, or surprises us completely, presence remains. The Buddha once compared the awakened mind to a vast sky. Clouds pass through it. Storms pass through it. Birds cross it. The seasons transform it. Yet the sky itself is never diminished. Our awareness is like that sky. Relationships are the weather. Sometimes bright, sometimes stormy, sometimes heartbreakingly beautiful, sometimes painfully difficult. But awareness remains spacious enough to hold every season. Perhaps this is what true security has always meant. Not finding a relationship where nothing changes, but becoming the kind of person who can meet change without losing the center of their heart. Then, something extraordinary happens. You no longer love because you are afraid of being alone. You love because love is your natural way of meeting the world. You no longer seek another person to complete you. You share your completeness with them. You no longer ask someone else to carry the weight of your identity. You stand firmly within your own awareness, and from that stability, you offer affection freely. This is the quiet miracle of Buddhist psychology. The goal was never to become someone who no longer feels. The goal was never to eliminate vulnerability. The goal was never to stop loving. The goal was to discover a love that is no longer rooted in fear, a love that does not tighten when uncertainty appears, a love that does not bargain for guarantees, a love that does not collapse when life changes. The Buddha called this freedom, not because suffering will never visit again, but because suffering no longer finds a mind that automatically clings. And perhaps this is the deepest invitation of today's journey. The next time you notice yourself waiting anxiously for a message, the next time your heart begins imagining abandonment, pause. Take one conscious breath. Feel your feet touching the ground. Notice the thoughts without becoming them. Remember that this feeling too is impermanent. Remember that love does not become stronger by clinging. It becomes clearer through awareness. Then, if only for a single moment, offer yourself the same blessing that the Buddha encouraged his students to extend to all beings. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be free from fear. And then, when your heart is ready, extend that same wish outward. May you be safe. May you be peaceful. May you be free from suffering. Because the greatest expression of love is not possessing another person. It is becoming a presence in which both you and they are free. And perhaps that is what the Buddha was pointing toward all along. Not a love that promises forever, but a love that is completely awake, here, now, in this single, precious, impermanent moment. Love you.